What?
If I need to, I'll shut it off. Cash. It's here.
Yep. You hit recording that?
It's gone.
Okay. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone, to our July meeting. Our first announcement is a welcome to our new township manager, Judith Denko, who began officially on June 25th. Welcome, Judith. I thought that she could take a minute to tell everybody about herself.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone here this evening. Thank you for the welcome. I appreciate it. I've been a municipal manager for over 25 plus years. So I'm excited to, that's okay. I'm excited to be here and that's okay, in Tinicum Township to work with everyone. So thank you very much.
Okay. Next up, a brief announcement. Mark Fournier, our zoning officer, is out on a medical leave. That was effective June 8th, and it will, the return date is to be determined. In the interim period, Rich O'Brien, we have two interim zoning officers from Keystone, which is the third-party contractor that we work with to provide zoning services. And Rich O'Brien, who is the owner of Keystone, and Paul Leonard will both be serving as our interim zoning officers, and that was effective June 24th. Our third announcement is that our interim township manager, Terry Fedorchik, he served from January 1st, maybe the 2nd, I think it was January 2nd, to June 24th. And the board had approved on June 10th that he would continue to serve on an as-needed basis if requested to support the transition of township management to Judith. Our fourth announcement is that the new school tax bills have been mailed out. They went out on July 1st, and that is a message from our tax collector, Deborah Yerger. The township would like to thank our Public Works Department and the Police Department, who both spent a great deal of time in the past week cleaning up trees and debris on the roads, getting their chainsaws out, and making sure that the roads were clear for all of us. So thank you to both of those departments. Next, we have a reminder that the Tinicum Civic Association's 73rd annual Tinicum Arts Festival will be held the weekend of July 13th and 14th at Tinicum Park on 32. The gates open both days at 10 a.m. and we invite everybody to come out and enjoy this two-day community event. And this year, the Board of Supervisors will be working the gates together on Saturday. Is it at noon, Rich?
Yeah, it used to be noon to 2 o'clock.
I think our shift is noon to 2 o'clock on Saturday, if you want to come through the gates at that time. And then one final announcement that is not on the agenda, but our police department, in conjunction with the Delaware Valley Volunteer Fire Company, will be holding their second annual First Responders Day. And that is going to be on September 21st from
1 to 4.
1 to 4 p.m. And we will be receiving more details about that event at our next meeting. Moving into section B on the agenda, we will have our police department report in August. Our police chief is on a well-deserved vacation. And next we have Rick Armitage, who is the chief of the Delaware Valley Volunteer Fire Company. And he is joining us this evening to continue the conversation that was raised at last month's meeting from Township resident Diane Allison. Rick? Yep. Can you speak into the mic? Thank you.
I'm Rick Armitage. I'm the chief of the Del Val Fire Company in Irwina. And it was brought to my attention that Diane had brought up last month about fire tax a little bit and monies, that the fire companies get. So I figured I'd come to the meeting and kind of explain a little bit of that, where our money goes, how much money we get, and why I don't want to say desperately, we desperately need the fire tax raised for more money. One of the big things is we do an awful lot of fundraising. We all have division and we've done it for years. So it's something that we've always done, whether it's our spaghetti dinner, different fundraisers. We do a car show every year. We do fund drives. I'm sure some of you have seen us at the Frenchtown Bridge collecting money. It's certainly profitable to do that, but in today's age and seeing volunteering declining, we really would love to be able to get members to come out to be able to train and fight fires and go to fires. That's ultimately what we need them for. So to do a lot of extra fundraising is certainly burdensome on people, community members. I mean, that's basically our whole company is members of the community. So just a little insight on, like the fire tax, so to speak. So yearly, we end up getting somewhere between, and it varies from year to year. It's split. The township has a formula that they use for taking that money and dividing amongst the 4 fire companies. So we cover the majority of Tinicum Township. Ottsville covers the next big part. And then there's Point Pleasant and Upper Black Eddy that cover a small portion on the north and south side. So they take that money and divide that according to call volume, area covered, and a couple other factors. We end up seeing usually between 40 to 45,000 from that fire tax every year, which is certainly helpful. We also get another 20 to 25,000. It's a relief tax that comes from the state. So it has nothing to do with taxes or, money that's put in from the community. About 65,000 a year is what we get from the fire tax and from residents, not including donations or anything like that. Our budget is, I had our treasurer take an average over the last 3 years is around 135,000 to operate. So that difference we have to make up in fundraising, which is an awful lot for volunteers to have to do. We would love to be able to have guys just come out and volunteer to do training and to respond to calls. Unfortunately, over the years, we've always done that. We've always fundraised and we wouldn't stop fundraising, but something like the fire tax being raised would certainly make it much easier on us to be able to ensure and retain members that they don't necessarily have to come out for fundraising. Well, we want them to come out obviously for anything, but we really need them for calls and for training, so that when there is an emergency in the township, they're ready and they respond. It's over the last probably 5 to 6 years, we've seen our equipment costs go skyrocket through the roof. COVID had a lot to do with that. Just, prices and everything going up is a big part of that. Our newest engine that we have is housed down here at the Public Works building. That's a 2019. We paid just under 500,000 for that engine, which at the time we were like, oof, it's a lot of money. Today to replace that engine is just maybe 900,000. So just under $1 million to replace that. And fire equipment is crazy that way. I mean, there's standards we have to, abide by, which sometimes can get crazy, but you know, that's the kind of cost that we're up against. And, you know, we probably pay $2,000 to $3,000 a month in just payments of apparatus. Because it takes, you know, and because we're volunteer and we work on a very small budget, it takes a long time. We have to stretch those loans out as long as we can. So we have a 2010 engine that we're still just, I think it's going to be paid off this year. So that being said, like I said, our equipment cost continues to just go through the roof. We have grants that we write now. 2 years ago, we had a grant for new air packs, which was just over $100,000. It was a federal grant, which helped immensely. We have a gear grant out right now, which is going to be again right in that $100,000 to $125,000 grant. Hopefully, we get that. The thing with grants is, as great as they are, you just don't know that you're going to get them or not. We certainly apply for them, but we don't know. The fire tax, I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's about 20 to 25 years going now. And since its inception, it hasn't been raised. I believe it's at 1.5 mils now. We would love to see that to go up to, you know, and even we'd love to see it go to the max, would be 3 mils. That would basically double our income from the township residents, which would make a huge difference. So that being said, you know, that could be done a lot of different ways. It could be staged out. It could be, you know, obviously to do it all at once is certainly, you know, maybe not best for everyone. I know Doug Skelton and I some years ago had tried to figure out an average of what would it cost each taxpayer, you know, to raise that to the 3 mils. We based it like on my property. So I have 2 acres on Irvin Road, a 2,000 square foot house, and it ended up being around $25 to $30 per year to raise that. Obviously, if you have more property, you have a bigger house, that's going to be a little different for each resident. But we certainly thought that that's probably something that should be doable, or at least for the most part, I would think would be doable for a good reason. You know, to be able to keep the fire department moving. You know, like I said, cost and volunteers are dwindling. We do okay with volunteers and retaining the volunteers that we have, but it's dribs and drabs of new people coming in. And, you know, we always need more. So, you know, any questions or anything like that, I'd certainly be happy to answer. You know, my numbers probably aren't the best. I have a treasurer who's very good, and I can certainly get answers for any of that. But I think it's something that, you know, it would be great from the resident standpoint to be able to, you know, kind of push that and say, hey, this is something that's necessary. What we find is, you know, out of all the people services in the township, the volunteer fire department are the only ones that are not paid. You know, the police obviously are paid. The ambulances are paid. We, you know, are not. We're community members. We you know, live in the township and we donate our time to that, which we all love to do. But it's certainly, you know, a burden that could be made easier. So, does anybody have any questions or? Yes.
So what's the alternative if you don't have enough funds and say you're not like, so the, you know, what's the alternative for the existence of a volunteer fire company?
A paid department.
A paid department,
Yes.
which would cost the town so much more. the town
Enormous
so much
amounts of
more.
money.
So I think that that's just something to be able to talk more about with
Mhm.
residents who I can't imagine anyone would disagree with what you're asking for. It's very reasonable. My goodness, how much time volunteer departments spend. My brother is a volunteer firefighter and builds fire trucks in New Hampshire. So I personally know like the self-sacrifice that families make. You're putting your lives on the line. So what do you need to be able to kind of move forward?
Well, you know, with Diane bringing this up last month, it really kind of opens the door to be able to, I mean, from a supervisor standpoint, you know, I think one of the best ways that to, I hate to say raise taxes because no one wants to raise taxes, right? is when the residents are coming to the board and saying, look, we need to support our fire companies. We need to do this. That's an easy kind of, decision for them to make, to say, hey, look, we have residents that are coming to us wanting to do this. That's probably the best way, I would think, we had talked about doing maybe a town hall type thing at our firehouse later in the summer, to be able to educate, people and to understand. You'd be surprised how many driveways and houses we go to in the township, and people don't realize that we're volunteer until they look at the door of the truck and they go, oh, you guys aren't paid? And they're like, no, like I just left my dinner, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, we're so sorry, it's like, no, that's what we do. And we're happy to do it. But, with the costs the way they are, it just, nothing gets cheaper, for any of us, for anything. And the cost of a paid department would be astronomical. I mean, millions upon millions of dollars. I mean, our operating budget at 135,000 is, I had to talk to the secretary again and say, are you sure that number's right? And she said, yeah, that's about what we operate on. And I knew it was somewhere around there, but when you really kind of look at it, you're like, wow, that's really not a whole lot. I mean, my business operates on more than that. And it's like, so that being said, the downfall, obviously, to have a paid department is in my eyes, not conceivable here. I mean, the call volume's not here. I don't know that our resident base is here. We're seeing a lot of paid departments in the central and lower section of the county. It's warranted. They have their population is much more dense than ours is. And with more dense population, you certainly have more call volume. I just don't know that we could warrant or afford, for that matter, what the taxes would be if we had to go that route. And, if we don't have money to operate, then it certainly could get to that at some point. I mean, obviously we do what we have to do. I mean, we raise almost twice that amount of money for our budget every year, and we do it, but it does tax our members. So we do see that we make, and I know a lot of people have asked, we've been doing a spaghetti dinner now in the spring and the fall. And everyone, that comes says, well, is this going to happen every month again? And I said, unfortunately, no, we just don't make the money from it. If we're lucky, we make maybe $400 or $500 a night from a spaghetti dinner. And the amount of people that it takes to put that on, and it's just, I don't want to say it's not worth it. It's worth it to us in the fact that we see your faces and you get to see ours. That to us is huge. To have people come out to the firehouse is great. And we certainly would encourage that. And we wouldn't want to stop doing any of that. But it certainly doesn't pay the bills. The following weekend from our spaghetti dinner, we did a coin toss at the Frenchtown Bridge. And in one day, about 7 hours of time, we made about $2,500. So that is much more profitable. The problem with that is it's dangerous. It drives me crazy because now I have guys standing in the road, and we all know, drivers on the road can be crazy at times. So I pull my hair out, every time we do one, but it's good money. We need to be able to make that up somewhere. So something like the fire tax would help immensely. Yes.
Do you have insurance that would cover your members in the event that they're injured on the job, similar to what paid fire personnel would have?
Yes.
Workers' comp?
Yes, we do. We have workers' comp that comes through the township, and that covers our members for anything like once their pager goes off, they get in their car, they're on their way to the station, even until they get home, they are covered by that. Yes.
Rick, can I ask you a question? A mill is basically represents $1,000 worth of assessed value. Is that correct? So the residents can do their own math on that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. So if you're assessed at $10,000, it would be $100 a year.
Yeah.
A mill per mill.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you some.
Yeah, my
so
math on
you
that.
can all do it at home if you want. You can figure out what it might mean if you wanted to raise it to a maximum of 3. You're going another 1.5. So
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? I will leave a bunch of my cards on the table over there. If anybody ever has any questions or anything like that, please reach out. I'd be more than happy to answer, any questions. And if I don't have an answer, I'll certainly get you an answer. But
Okay.
thank you very much.
Rick,
you.
thank you. And thank you for your whole team for everything that you do for our community.
These guys actually an awful lot to help us. the public works engine during the day, and having those guys run fire and EMS calls is huge. It really does help a lot. That's another thing with our members where most people don't work in the township, so they're out of the township, myself including. I'm not always around during the day. So having those guys down there is a huge help, and, you know, so they do their part, you know, and it's almost like I feel like now, you know, we can, as residents, could do our part as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Judith, I'm wondering if you have any suggestions on how we as a board can continue to explore this and what it might look like.
Yes, I actually agree with the chief. I think that a town hall meeting would be a wonderful idea. I think that if it's something that we could all organize together and work together towards this, and then I think it would be also be a wise idea if we could get the financials, the paperwork and so forth regarding the monies that the township does provide so far, what the budget is, where the money is spent. If we could have all of that and put together some sort of an analysis as to what the needs are and present that at the town hall meeting, that we can be very informative to all of the residents. And I think that we'll all actually learn from that. And I think that's important. I think that clarity as to what is really and taking place in transparency. I think all of these ideas would be a wonderful place to start. And the town hall meeting, if we could certainly get interest for people to come out and see, you know, exactly what you're doing and what the township supervisors are doing in conjunction. I think that would be a wonderful idea. And again, the facts. The facts are important. So if we could have paperwork and so forth, maybe prior audit and all of that information, so that people can truly see where their tax dollars are going. And I think that's very important. And it really opens everyone's eyes.
We audit about, I think, every 2 years. So we do
Yes.
a general audit, and then the other year, the second year we do our relief audit, and then so every other year we're doing an audit. So that way, you know, we have all that to be able to show exactly where, you know, every dime goes. We certainly look at it where every money that we get is from residents, one way or another. If you come to a spaghetti dinner or through the fire tax, something like that, everything we get is taxpayer money. So, you know, we want to be very cautious on how we spend that and not frivolously spend that.
Certainly. And then you have the fire relief money, which is actually restricted on certain uses. So you have to be careful on that. So it would be important for the residents and everyone to have a good understanding as to where those monies really are allowed to go.
Yes.
And how much they are.
So that's another
So
thing with relief money, as much as we get that 20 to 25,000, we can only spend that on certain things.
Yes.
It's personal protective equipment, some equipment on the trucks, but it's very, very critical as far as where you spend that and how you spend that money.
Correct. And then, of course, you're also mandated by dates. Certain things actually expire. So your Scott packs expire, and people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had today.
Just wait until you're on the mic, Rick. And then the people from home will be able to hear
Yes.
you.
So today we conducted hose testing. So we do it about 5 years. I believe NFPA requires it like every 2 years, but it's something that cost wise, and when we look at our call volume and how much the hose is actually used, it's just hard to warrant doing it every 2 years. So it costs us about $4,000 to have that done. So they test all of our hose and all of our ladders to make sure that they're all safe and in operating condition. We lost about 900 feet of 5-inch hose today. And I think the captain told me it was about 1,000 feet of 3-inch hose. So replacing all that is certainly going to cost money. Now, that is something that is relievable with hose. So we can use relief funds for that, but with only getting, 20 to 25,000 from relief, that money's limited, and we have to be careful where we spend that. But that's something else that, costs are always, and trying to keep up with NFPA standards, National Fire Protection Association. their standards are not only set for us, but we have to comply to the same standards as like Philadelphia Fire Department, FDNY. So we, those departments obviously can afford to be able to, keep up to those standards. We're required to apply to those same, keep up with those same standards. We do our very best, but we can't do them all. We have to look at it and say, what is, a safety issue that is going to keep our members safe, and their priorities. Some of the other stuff, we have to look at and say, well, we do our best with that, but we can't completely do it. It's no different, like I said, with hose testing, 5 years and 2 years. They want it done every 2. We do it every 5, just to try to.
Yep.
I hate to say try to save money, because I mean, if something happens, obviously, it'd be tip top, but that comes into our truck replacement too. Where we have trucks that aren't. We try to put like a 20-year replacement on trucks, but there's times that we look at that and say that really doesn't make sense because the truck doesn't have the time on it. But then we don't want to let a truck get too old, because then when we replace it, we could find ourselves replacing 2 trucks at the same time.
Mhm.
And especially now at $1 million a piece, there's no way that we could possibly afford that.
Right.
And that also, to not let that go too long, we want to make sure that if any of us have an emergency, that truck is top notch and the best it could be to be able to do the job that it needs to do to take care of our residents.
Okay, great. So,
Town hall, could we also invite the other fire companies? there?
oh yeah, we would need
So
to.
you have all of them there? So
Yeah.
And
we can give
actually, I
everybody-
talked about maybe doing, and I don't know, I was just kind of spitballing with it, with maybe like Ottsville having one, us having one. I don't know if Point Pleasant and Upper Black Eddy, if that would really.
Well, they get money from us.
They do. They cover such a small
Yeah.
area of the township. I mean, ourselves and Ottsville obviously are the 2 big ones.
Mhm.
So I, thought about saying, well, is it better to do one for like
Yeah.
our section of the township and then maybe have Ottsville do one for theirs, or we could do it all together. It
Right. I think maybe in between now and our August meeting, Judith, if you could reach out to each of the fire companies and just, propose the concept. And then maybe by our August meeting, we could have a date and, a month or 2 out from then and have gathered all of the documentation that you believe we need from each of the fire companies. I think that would be helpful. Rick,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for
No
coming
problem.
in.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Miss Vanderlille, did you have I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
I had a question about fundraising.
yes. Would you mind coming to the microphone? This is Van.
You may have answered, I can't think, so I apologize. for the answer to it
Swell.
already.
Hi.
Denise spoke.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering when he was saying, I was shocked to hear about the spaghetti dinner, which I love. I would have thought maybe more money was made because they always seem to be so well attended. But what about like at the Tinicum Arts Festival or some of the big things that happen around here, Polo? Can we do like 50/50s or something? Or even at the firehouse, I've seen other places do like community yard sales because you have such a nice location there and people, again, it's kind of a get together thing more than, but people maybe donate a percentage of their yard sale hauls or something like that, that kind of
That's what
involves
town hall-
community as well
I think the
as,
town hall meeting with those kind of suggestions, that's
Yeah.
something to talk about that.
because
time.
I know even at the spaghetti dinner, the 50/50 is like, I think people
Yeah.
enjoy just,
And we try to do that here or there.
Yeah.
Like once in a while, to be able to have 50/50 or something. Like I said, we do, I named a couple of the spaghetti dinner's a big one everybody knows about. And car show is another big fundraiser. There are certainly a lot of different ones that we do throughout the year. Try to raise, some money that
right,
way.
because I know individually, they're probably not a lot of money, but if they were happening like once a quarter or something at
That's
different
true.
events,
They are
maybe.
the Civic
Mhm.
Association, Yards Festival, stuff like that. They donate to us every
Yeah.
year. Or it's pretty good.
Right.
They donate a lot.
Okay. All right, terrific. Moving on, we're in letter C in the agenda for the Headquarters Road Bridge update, and we will first hear from Kurt.
Yes, I don't have much of an update, but the structural plans are still underway by McMullen Associates for the bridge design. I do expect within a month or 2 to have at least some interim plans to look at for the structure itself. As far as submitting PennDOT a PADP permit package, We're still awaiting the PennDOT agreements and or landowner easements that was mentioned at last month's meeting. So that's all I have.
Okay, Scott, anything in addition?
Just, we had talked last time about the turn back agreement with PennDOT. I'm still working on the draft with them. The attorney for PennDOT, we haven't spoken this week. Last week he's been on vacation, so,
Mhm.
but we're working towards that. So, I'm expecting a final draft here in a couple weeks.
Okay, great. Next up is the Golden Pheasant Bridge. Kurt?
Yes, so as mentioned last month, we had the May 20th virtual meeting with PennDOT. I followed up with PennDOT because there was quite a few items that they were supposed to get back to us on as far as some more detailed information, as far as design and easements that are going to be required. They're still under the mindset that they want the township to perpetually maintain any signals that they put in, either whether it be temporary or permanent. So they did follow up with a little bit of information on the maintenance responsibilities that they expect. And they also did acknowledge that they would get back to us with a handful of different items that we were waiting on them for. As everybody knows, the bridge was struck again on June 20th. So I reminded them that we're also looking to try to expedite this as much as possible. And that is all that I have on that item.
All right. Does anyone want to add to that? No? Okay.
Just had a question here.
Mhm.
They're saying they're doing the design based on trailers with a tractor with a 42-foot length trailer unit, 42.5-foot length. But the road is allowing 45-foot length trailers on it.
Correct, up to 45 feet. So the design vehicle they're using is a WB50 vehicle. And that only has the 42.5 feet length trailer. And that's one of the items that I brought forth to PennDOT and said that they should confirm that the truck analysis they're using represents the vehicles that are going to use the road. And that they highlighted that as an item they're still looking into.
Well, the vehicles that are permitted to use the road.
Correct, right.
The ones that are using it, of course, are.
Right, and I don't believe when we asked them the question, they did not model a larger vehicle than that.
Okay.
Do we need a restricted road signs for vehicles larger than that?
So we also requested from PennDOT a listing of all the restrictions because there's the restrictions vary on the Pennsylvania side and the New Jersey side. They're going to put some additional signage in and give us a map basically. We were going to take that map and we're doing our own truck study on other roads in the township. So we wanted to see what restrictions were in place or potentially could be in place on River Road to try to incorporate that into the whole analysis.
Do we have that map yet from them?
No,
Okay. Have they told us when to expect it?
they acknowledged in the email as of today that they were looking into that, getting us that information.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the Golden Pheasant Bridge? Next up is the Frenchtown Bridge. So the Delaware River Joint Toll
Bridge Commission.
Bridge Commission, they have proposed a rehabilitation of the Frenchtown Bridge, and they invited the Board of Supervisors to a virtual meeting on last Monday, June 23rd. The three of us attended, and it's kind of basic masonry repair, just for maintenance purposes. The changes to the bridge are twofold. One is they plan to double the width of the pedestrian walkway.
Where do the cars gonna go?
I thought they said they're gonna increase it so that two people can pass freely. I
Yeah,
don't think
they're
it was double
they're
the
making
size. I think it was a couple of feet.
they're making the
Yeah.
walkway wider out further. They're not narrowing the lane of travel. They're just making the
They're
walkway
Bring it out further.
bigger.
Exactly.
Yep. And and they are adding safety lighting. They're also proposing architectural lighting that is LED, that is designed to highlight the metal structure, the trusses of the bridge. Last week they had on Tuesday night, and was it Monday night and Tuesday night? Then I'm getting my weeks wrong. The meeting with the board was 2 Mondays ago. The open house in Tinicum was Monday, the 23rd. The public was invited to come and look at the boards, which was the slideshow that we had seen the week before. There was also an open house in Frenchtown at the American Legion Hall on Tuesday, which I attended. During the call, they wanted feedback from the board. And we raised a couple of points. First is that during the rehabilitation process, which they are estimating will take 10 months, they will be reducing traffic on the bridge to 1 lane of travel heading eastbound from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. And that lane of travel will be 8 feet 6 inches wide. Is that what they said? 8'6", which is too small for any of our emergency vehicles to be passing through. And some of you may know, Del Val Volunteer Fire Company provides mutual aid to the Frenchtown Fire Company, and vice versa. Frenchtown comes over here to help us out. So we raised the question at the meeting 2 weeks ago, and we were told in that meeting that there would be no way to, my question had been, do you have a plan to stop the eastbound traffic in the event emergency vehicles from New Jersey need to go to Pennsylvania? At the time, I kind of presumed that a fire truck wouldn't fit, but I didn't know for sure. They said that they had no plans to do that, and that emergency vehicles would need to follow the detour like every other vehicle, which is through Milford, and that adds an additional 13 minutes. So that's concerning. I had a follow-up conversation at the Frenchtown Open House with one of the, I think he's the project manager on the job. And we kind of walked through that a little more carefully. And by that point, I knew that it was not nearly wide enough for the apparatus that needs to cross. So he asked that the township put in writing this concern. So this is one concern, is the width of the lane of travel during the period of rehabilitation of the bridge. In my opinion, because it is such a long project, we need to make sure that emergency vehicles can cross in both directions. So that's one issue. The next issue that we talked about on the call was the LED architectural lighting. This lighting they propose will go on at dusk and will stay on until 11 o'clock at night, when it will be dimmed for energy savings or something. It is a white light, but it is programmable to be any color. So it can be, we were told, red, white, and blue for Bastille Day. It could be pink, it could be rainbow, it could be, obviously it's any color. So, knowing the community, kind of our reaction on that call was that this doesn't sound like something that our community would be clamoring for, because we like our dark skies. We don't need a carnival crossing from Pennsylvania to New Jersey. And we are cognizant of the impact that the light pollution would have on animals. We're also cognizant of the impact the rehabilitation project itself would have on birds that nest in the structure. So these are issues kind of, we haven't talked as a group identifying them, but these are ones that I have identified. We're talking about it now because they are receiving public comment on this project until July 12th. And I think that would be important for the township to make a comment, like an official comment from the Board of Supervisors. And I propose that we make a comment with those 3 issues, the safety and accessibility of emergency vehicles, the light pollution, and conducting the project in a manner that's sensitive to the nesting birds. There may be other issues. And I'll also share that I know that Frenchtown is looking at also making an official public comment. Their council meeting is tomorrow. So just I'm opening it up here for us. If there are any other, I don't know if we're kind of all feeling the same way about those three issues. So I think that's a starting.
Well, I agree with what you had brought up. I think there's one other issue. I had talked to the structural engineer there that night on Monday night. And I asked, is there any way, I realized that the trusses are a fixed element. Can there any way to widening? He said they are looking into making about another 6-inch improvement on the guide rails. So they can widen it enough so that we wouldn't be hitting our mirrors. So he said we are looking into it. So I'd like that to be put into whatever we're asking about.
Yep.
And then they had a comment sheet. I'm sure they had
Yeah.
it over in Frenchtown as well. And I put all of my thoughts down on the comment sheet with my name and number, so.
Okay. But are you supportive of?
I'm supportive of
About-
the other stuff, the
yeah.
concerns of the emergency vehicles,
Sure.
the lighting, and I'm sure there's ways to have lighting that won't impact the night sky, but still have a safety measure for vehicles crossing. And I have some
Absolutely.
ideas on that, but that's later on.
Right, right. And the safety lighting, I don't have any objection to either, but for the architectural lighting, is that something that,
I don't have-
okay. So when you say you don't have a problem with the architectural lighting,
Well, if they're gonna do architectural lighting, doesn't mean that they have to do it every night. I mean, it's just at certain events, certain days, or weekends, but I
Yeah.
don't know that it has to be on the whole bridge. I mean, that's something
Yeah.
still to discuss. But I'm okay with, if there's an objection to it because of the night sky, I have no problem.
okay, so you would be okay if
Yeah.
in this communication, we just asked for no architectural lighting? Okay,
I said
Done.
at the meeting that it would not be well received by the township residents, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it, the lighting for sure. The emergency vehicles, yes, that's definitely a concern.
okay,
So no, there's no problem with me here.
okay. So are we okay then if I draft a letter for us to circulate? Can we do that, Scott? I don't have it ready for now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and then submit it in time for the public comment. Please come forward
Oh, I just want how long the duration is. You were talking about the duration of the work.
of the project.
Yeah.
It's 10 months is what they're estimating. And they are thinking of putting it out to bid the end of this year and starting early spring. Is that right? Is that what they started? Construction would be 2025 or the rehabilitation. Okay. We're at our first public comment. Any public comment? Yep. Tim, do you want to come up? Okay, Kathy.
Yes, Catherine Arabach. Thank you for. I never signed it. Thank you for bringing up those points about the Frenchtown Bridge, and I had sent you a little bit of an email. I think another point to stress with the concern of the lighting, especially, is the wild and scenic designation.
Yeah, right.
Of the river, that, you know, a pink bridge doesn't necessarily fit in with our natural wild and scenic
Right.
image. And it's not an urban area. It's
Mhm.
not necessary. They do define 2 separate lighting systems.
Mhm.
So the one for traffic and crossing is independent and that shines down.
Mhm.
It's the stuff that's in the not necessary. So thank you for bringing it up. I think wild and scenic is helpful to remind as well.
Okay.
in that context.
I don't know what that is.
Another item, is there any way to put greater pressure on PennDOT for finalizing these documents for headquarters bridge? Or it seems like they
Yeah.
keep pushing it off, and
Well, so, I mean, Scott has been in pretty regular contact with the general counsel at PennDOT. So I think it is just, we're into like the summer months where we're dealing with vacation schedules also.
That's the biggest thing right now. It's just, it's been vacation schedules.
Right, but I think the last work session, you said like 2 weeks, and now it's longer, so just seems to be really putting off that, and I would hope that there'd be a way to just expedite that as much as you can. Yeah, certainly cleaning up the and the headquarters road and Center Road culvert, there is no action has happened anywhere around there, and that is stopped up. If we get a heavy rain, that will be cause a lot of damage at this point, and the creek, of course, it's filled up with everything. And there just needs to, some action needs to be taken on that.
Okay, I know that we were in touch with PennDOT on that. And we will follow up.
Yeah, we need to do a follow-up on that.
Yes.
Colin.
Cleaning the culvert is,
Mhm.
no, they shouldn't throw stuff in it either. But anyway,
Certain vicinities.
at the end of last year, you had a motion to create a zoning amendment for conforming lots when you're doing a subdivision. Has anything happened on that? I never heard any follow-up to see if that actually followed through.
I thought we passed
Yeah,
it.
It was passed last
We
year,
passed
Did it
it.
pass that
Mhm.
actually?
Sure of that,
Yeah.
yeah.
last year.
Mhm.
I know you agreed to it, but then it was
Yeah.
going to the county planning commission or this. And I didn't ever,
It was,
The-
I've had none involvement and it wasn't on a list from Steve Harris of open items, so I think you.
I'm
might be
pretty
right.
certain it was closed, that
so did
they
actually
approved it
finish that
last
one
year.
out? Okay. Just-
We'll check on that and make sure,
Yeah,
Kathy. If it's
I had
floating
it
out there, we will.
before, and you said
we
it
will
was-
wrap it
you were
up.
Still waiting from the county.
I don't think so. I thought we passed it, but okay.
Good, okay, that's good. I think that's kind of it. Thank you.
Thanks. Tim?
Hi, Tim Cashman, resident. I got a few quick questions. Kurt, real quick, are you still on schedule for Headquarters Road Bridge? For December 2025?
At this time, we have the architect started. I don't see how that schedule is gonna get pushed back at this time.
Okay, so you think you're on schedule for that? All right,
Yep.
Great, thank you. Scott, I had spoken to Kendra Gardner. And there's something I want to get clarification on. It had to do with Steve Goodmall's lawsuit that he has for that 0.8 acre, I believe. Is that what that is, a 0.8 acre or 0.1 acre?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, does that affect the turnback agreement?
No.
So that will be attached to the township when we get the turnback agreement from PennDOT, will that? Because from what I was getting from Kendra, that's gonna follow through. Does that affect us at all, because we're doing a rehabilitation?
I understand the law. I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, if that doesn't get resolved and Steve Goodall wins, what happens with his winning of that lawsuit that? I think it's 0.1 acre, or is it? I'm not sure how big that is, but it's a small portion that PennDOT purchased. That he was saying that was not done properly. That's what the lawsuit's based on. Am I correct about that at least?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if he wins that lawsuit and we sign the turnback agreement, is that connected to the bridge?
Yes, but it won't affect us in the sense that it's the property is related to the bridge, but we're working with him separately on easements and other things like that. So no, it won't affect us.
It won't affect owning that bridge, that
No.
lawsuit. Okay. What happens if he wins that? In the sense of the township will own something that's connected to the bridge? How's that gonna be written up if he owns?
Well, it's not a part of the bridge, it's the
Yeah.
land underneath the bridge. They were looking to expand their area. And truthfully, in what we're doing with Steve Gittavell, we don't have to go as far as PennDOT because they were looking to take more land because they had to expand. We don't need that same amount of land.
Okay, all right, so
Yeah.
that'll just continue with PennDOT. with what
Yes,
he's doing
yeah, it
with
won't
that.
affect, yeah, we won't become part of the lawsuit or anything.
Okay, it wasn't clear when I was speaking to her about that, because I wasn't sure what the township stood on that, so just wanted to get that clear with you guys. And then that's still owned by PennDOT, that road connected right now to this day.
Yes.
It's still owned by PennDOT, okay. All right, good deal. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Any further public comment? Yep, Vladimir. There's a second public comment at the end of the meeting. Also,
Okay, Vladimir Salman, Headquarters Road. It's been a couple of meetings now that I think it's clearly established that the fire department, is underfunded and needs funding. What's the mechanism for just going, can't we just, instead of going, waiting for a town hall meeting or something, why can't we just start the mechanism to raise the fire tax? Just go ahead and do it. We need it. There, and the other is just like a sales event.
I hear you. I think it's important to make sure that, we're all here having had the benefit of hearing Chief Armitage address us tonight. I think it's important to make sure that, everybody in our township knows that we'll be having that conversation and
I've been hearing
And-
this for at least 3 meetings now.
And it's my hope that are we calling it an open house? What, that informational night,
A town hall.
a town hall, that happens maybe in September, if we can get everybody
Okay.
together. I mean, I don't want it to go on and on and on, Vladimir.
And then this could actually be a budget discussion for our upcoming budget, which would be very important so that we can plan for whatever the township supervisors would be open to doing. So if the public is interested in this, it certainly helps the township supervisors make clear, educated decisions as to what the residents really would like to see. And if this is something, when we get all of the information together, that we clearly can see that there's a need, that will back up any idea or process moving forward, especially with the budget sessions and so forth. We can plan for this. So it's important to plan for this, to know that we have the funds and how we would like to move forward.
Yeah, I didn't hear, I just got a mailer last week from the fire department and cut a check and sent it in. So, I didn't hear that in Rick's, statements on their income. But, ideally, I think if everybody, got that mailer, it responded with, and cut a check, I think, might alleviate some of this, and we wouldn't be having this discussion or the need for, for fundraisers and town hall meetings,
Yeah, but how do you mandate that with people donating money? You don't mandate
Okay,
that. I mean, it's
you can't-
great and
you
most
can't
people
mandate it.
do.
You can't mandate it, but, let's go ahead and then mandate or tax.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's what we're having the open town meeting.
Okay.
And if I'm remembering correctly, I think Rick told me that the response rate is around 20% to that mailer that they send out. Anita, did you have a comment?
Anita Nolan, resident. I just wanted to remind everyone that Ryan Whittington had said that PennDOT was planning to start the bridge this month. We're still months or more away from that. At the Headquarters Road Bridge. They were prepared to start this month.
Any further public comment? Yep, come on up.
So I'm Carol Huffman. I live on 205 River Road, and I need your help because I am scared about all of the huge 18-wheelers going by my house. and they're going by a lot and a lot more than ever. They're getting stuck on Tohican Hill. One today had to turn around at Walters Bridge 1, and I'm out there watching. There's a big, long traffic jam in front of my house all the way back from, the middle of Point Pleasant. And everyone's talking about it on Facebook. I know that it's not the choice of the drivers either to put their lives in danger or to put anyone else's lives in danger who are either riding their bikes or walking or just crossing their street, to get to their car like us, right? So what do you need from us as residents to make sure that either, it's in Harrisburg or it's, everyone getting together locally in an organized way, not just on a Facebook page. So what do you need? And we will come together and help you because someone's going to get killed and we just don't want that,
Yeah, the tractor trailers have been an issue on this road for a while now. It dovetails kind of into the Golden Pheasant Bridge discussion. And certainly community involvement's important. If we can get petitions together that we can then present to PennDOT. There are engineering studies that need to be done. I don't know if we have to do those studies or.
It's, with it being under jurisdiction of PennDOT, I think it would be prudent for the township to request that PennDOT do these studies and identify these concerns.
And then they have to do the studies. They'll do the study that as best they can, I guess, measure width of lanes and turns and sight lines. Perhaps do a safe drive through with somebody who will determine, the trucks aren't supposed to be here. The objective being to, I think, get rid of the trucks, not get rid of all the trucks, but get rid of these interstate trucks that are getting involved in these issues. And one of the issues we have apparently is the GPS, according to some people that the drivers at the police talked to, and one that I spoke to, the GPSs are telling them that it's okay to go that way. And it has to do with the trailer. I mean, they allow tractor trailers, or they say that PennDOT allows tractor trailers on the road, which they do, 45 foot. As the sign says, but as we see, they're designing a bridge now and improvements to a bridge for trucks 42.5 feet long trailers. And it baffles me. I agree with you. These drivers don't want to be there. Having done the job, you get into a situation like that and you really just wish you had just spent the money on the tolls and gone that way. And I learned over time, that's what you do. But some of these guys are just not experienced. They don't know. And they get down here and they get caught. And once they get to that Milford Bridge, you got a 53-foot long trailer. It's like, well, what are you going to do there? You're stuck. So you power ahead and hope that things turn out for the best. That's most likely what most of these guys are doing. So my opinion is what needs to be done is the tractor trailer allowance on that road needs to be eliminated. That's what needs to be eliminated. And they'll have to find another way. There are at least a half a dozen other ways to get around River Road. You don't need to use it. There are tolls involved, but that's the cost of doing business.
Why is this coming up now? Like, I don't remember, we've lived there for over 10 years and I've never seen it like this. So what's the change?
Well, I believe it has to do with a change they made in the law in 2018, changed to Act 31 of Title 75 of the Vehicle Code. And at that time, they changed and allowed vehicles 102 inches wide on various roads, and it was that size road that used to be restricted to 96-inch wide vehicles.
Okay.
So there are some roads that are okay. I mean, like one of the roads in our township, for instance, North Park Road is one that falls under that type of category of road, but also unfortunately, so does River Road. And as opposed to going out and doing what we as a township have to do to justify a certain truck restriction, the engineering study that we're doing on a couple of roads now, I guess they sort of, what'd you say? They just blanketed and you explained it to me at one time how they got away with doing that where we couldn't.
Well, I think the way that they did is when they enacted the act, they put together their own guidelines that superseded some of the prior parameters.
So they self-supervised themselves and made it easy on themselves and just said, well, this category of road, which I believe is secondary feeder or something like that, they're all allowed to have this restriction, 45 foot long and 102 inches wide without looking at the roads. So the roads in our township that were affected were North Park Road, Giga Hill Road, Headquarters Road, Dark Hollow Road, and River Road are the roads that fell into that category. And all of them, if you look, have that same sign on them right now. But Giga Hill Road, Really? I mean, when you go down Giga Hill Road, the problem you have there, you turn onto it with a tractor trailer from Durham Road. There's no warning that 6 miles down the road, there's a covered bridge. And they don't have a warning about that until they get to Upper Tinicum Church Road. And the angle of that road, there's no way they can escape. There's no way to go once they see that sign. And so they end up at one of our neighbors' houses, turning in their little U-shaped driveway they have.
Is there a way for someone in our township to not just wait for that study, but sort of collect in an organized way all of these points that people are pointing out so that, you know, there's a little bit more substance when we go to PennDOT to say, you need to look at these things because these are imminent dangers, you know?
I actually have a list
Oh, great. Maybe we could
that I put
publicize it.
together that runs from, I'm going to say Upper Black Eddy
Mhm.
down
Good.
to, I guess it went all the way to New Hope Borough. It was once upon a time I was driving down, I made a little list of where I thought, and this is somebody's got 35 years of driving experience, that where I thought was inappropriate for a 53-foot long trailer, or even a tractor trailer of any size. Areas I had trouble in a flatbed, a traxel flatbed for Warings. Devil's Half Acre is a prime
Oh,
example.
yes. Yeah.
Of that one has all the elements, has a building right on the road. It has 2 sharp curves in it that are going to involve incursion into the other lane. A wall on the southbound lane, there's a wall there that you have to clear. And in order to do that, you have to go into the northbound lane on a blind curve.
Mhm.
That is an example right there of something that makes that road inappropriate for that size vehicle.
Mhm.
The bridge down there in Point Pleasant, the bridge at Tohickon, or at the Golden Pheasant, the bridge up there just north of the Narrows. There's another one up
Right,
there.
right.
Where they apparently have issues up there. So what I'd like to do is contact these townships and see what issues do you have in your townships, and put that list together and perhaps get the township managers or the township governance together on all these townships and boroughs and try to get in PennDOT's ear seriously and said that these trucks are it's clearly a problem. I mean, they clearly see it's a problem on the Golden Pheasant Bridge.
Right.
It's now a problem at the Point Pleasant Bridge. I don't know why they're trying to go up to Hicken. Is it because
crazy.
is it because the
They don't
Pleasant
know.
Pike was closed? Because Point
No,
Pleasant Pike was
No,
closed.
no, it's happening even when the pike is open. They
That's
just don't know.
crazy.
It's like you're saying, they're looking at their phones and they're just following it.
Yeah, and once
I
you-
also wonder if the unions could help, you know, like the drivers are often in unions and maybe there's something there that,
most of the drivers driving these over the road trucks are not union.
okay.
Union drivers like perhaps FedEx is. I don't even know if FedEx is. I know UPS is,
Mhm.
but they would not advise their drivers to come down there.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Cindy Gasparri, River Road. So this is probably the 10th time that I've asked for an LTAC, a local traffic advisory committee that I think could pull together all these road concerns we have, not just on River Road. We have Headquarters Bridge. I mean, we don't have one committee looking at it all, and it's the burden lays on our engineer all by himself without our support.
The police department
The
too.
Police department, the board of supervisors, but that would be what would help you all if we had a committee. And I know we talked about it and then I don't know what happened.
I think we talked about it at our May work session. Is that right? I think that
And
maybe
what happened?
April.
That's the question. So I would
Yeah.
just like you all to consider it again, please.
Okay, thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none. Moving on to old business. The first one is the gate ordinance, amending section 900.11.d of our township code.
So this is the memo we looked at that came from your planning commission. It did get reviewed by the Bucks County Planning Commission. Doesn't look like their memo got put in your packet, but I'll read their thing real quick. We recommended the Township Board of Supervisors adopt the proposal as submitted for this one.
Good.
It seems to be good. They didn't have any comments like that. This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone who wants to say anything real quick, but otherwise, if no one has any comments on this, it would be ready for board action here tonight.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to adopt
Mhm.
this amendment to the ordinance. Do I have a
I'll
sec?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any comment from the board? Any public comment on the driveway gates? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
G2 is the public hearing and final consideration of the enactment of an ordinance amending sections 201, 602.2B, and 706G of our township zoning ordinance. This amendment would establish a definition for a warehouse use. And we do have comments from the Bucks County Planning Commission from their June 5th meeting in our packet.
Yeah, so there's 3 comments. I would say the most important comment is the parking one, just because it is something you have to deal with. And the recommendation is appropriate that the G3 wholesale use is sort of the similar use, because we see that in other townships where the wholesale, the warehousing uses get bunched together. So that would be a good one to base the parking off of. But that would probably be something for the planning commission to consider, take a look at, but it would be nothing to stop you here from voting tonight. So if you so choose. The other 2 comments were, we have the G13 industrial park use. They said they want us to consider including the new warehouse use into that as well. Again, nothing for you to, nothing to stop you here tonight. And the last one is any additional requirements, landscaping, zoning, buffering, all those types, not zoning, excuse me, landscaping, buffering, setbacks, loading space requirements were the ones. Again, nothing to consider. Some things maybe to consider for the planning commission there regarding the loading space and truck parking maybe, but the other items fall under just your normal zoning type things anyway, but they're just
For
this one's
conditional
just
use.
correct.
Yeah. So I saw the BCPC's recommendation that we include this use in that catch-all G13 use. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that was kind of the whole inspiration for carving out this specific use, is getting it out from that catch-all zoning use, which we dealt with on the Spinio property. So I would make a motion to adopt the amendment as it is written. And then we can ask our planning commission to give more thought to parking and truck parking and some of the other issues that, John, you raised at our last meeting.
Yeah, I'll second that, because they are going to be looking at some of these other issues, specifically truck parking requirements.
Okay.
In their future, they're going to probably add to this warehouse.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Oh, okay. Any comment from the board? Any public comment on the warehouse definition and use? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Here's the.
New business is H1, the consideration of the liquor license transfer from Golden Pheasant Waterfront LLC to Golden Pheasant Legacy LLC. We received notification of the filing of this transfer application on June 21st. Scott, do you have any further information?
Yeah, the only thing I can add is it looks, obviously the permit's going to stay in the same location. What this is just the transfer of the ownership of the permit. It's still going to be for the Golden Pheasant. The owners of the Black Bass Hotel are going to be assuming management and ownership of the Golden Pheasant.
I thought they already did.
Right. They're going to be taking ownership, I should say. They already have, so this is just a transfer of them to
Okay.
continue the operation. No actions really required unless for some reason the township wanted to intervene and stop the transfer of the ownership, but I don't see any reason to do so.
Any comment there? No. Okay. Moving on. We have minutes drafted from our June 4th meeting. I in preparation for tonight's meeting, I reviewed the minutes and there are just a couple of minor type corrections that I have. So I think overall we could adopt them subject to these minor typos. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
And then we have also minutes from our special meeting. No, it was a continuation of the June 4th meeting. We continued it to June 10th. We have a separate set of minutes for that meeting. And I have no edits to that. So I make a motion to approve the June 10th minutes, which was the continuation of the business meeting from June 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
We have the treasurer's report for the month of May in our board packet. Any comments on the treasurer's report?
Yeah, the current month disbursement of $234,000 is 638.60 for open space. What is that? What is that for? But I realize
Yeah,
that.
I think that's,
Judith wouldn't know.
yeah, I think that's the principal payment, isn't it?
Well, that's a monthly.
No,
report?
that's the quarterly.
It's
but it-
quarterly?
yeah.
Are you sure of that?
Yeah.
If it's quarterly, then it should say it somewhere, but I don't see that.
Well, do you recognize that payment from other past quarters?
Didn't go back and research it, other than I thought this was a monthly report. And if it's a monthly report, clearly can't be the interest payments, because that would be 2.4 million a year, more than that. So there's something with that. I guess my question is the Bowden money, advance money in that?
I don't think so,
No,
because
it's
they
good.
haven't, that has not gone to closing yet.
No, it hasn't got a closing, but did they have to put up the money first? And then I think at closing, we were getting the money back from the Highlands Act.
That's true, but I don't believe that
Okay.
that money has been
So-
advanced. John, do you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
And
That's something that you worked. That's what we talked, actually Judith and I talked about that this afternoon. She's gonna be looking into that. in more
yeah,
detail.
I mentioned it too, but I'm
Yeah.
doing it now because I'm gonna, no, as I have in the past, until I get a report that actually makes some sense to me. Okay.
anything else? John, anything?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report from May of 24.
Second,
All in favor?
all right,
And opposed? Okay. We have the payroll report that is here on our agenda for May of 2024 was actually approved at our June meeting. But because of the timing of tonight's meeting and payroll from, that includes June, the month of June, the last week of June. Is that right? Yes. There's a payroll coming out this Thursday that will capture the end of June, I believe. So the June payroll will be reviewed at our August meeting, and depending on the timing, possibly July as well. Cash disbursements under consideration here for the month of May. And I'll just note, on the agenda, there's a general fund disbursement. There are disbursements totaling $181,000, $377 from the general fund. That includes a $100,000 transfer from one bank account to another. It's captured as a disbursement because there was a check prepared to memorialize that transfer. But that is not actually money out the door. Yes. No, because the May payroll we did in June. Yeah, but I will make a motion to approve the cash disbursements from May.
a second,
Okay. All in favor?
all right,
Any opposed? Okay. And we have a manager's report. Oh, let's see.
I would like to announce that the Tinicum Township Police Association will commence collective bargaining agreements soon. The Palisades Regional Fire Rescue Report, the PRFR report highlights our year-to-date January to May, 217 responses for the month of May, 44 EMS assists for May, 48 and 181 for the year-to-date. The emergency action plan there's a notice that is posted on our municipal building and website. Our emergency management coordinator, Bill Cahill, made the annual updates to the Township Emergency Operations Plan and Notification and Resource Manual and will be communicated to the Bucks County Emergency Management Agency. PennDOT update, pipe replacement on Geigel Hill Road between Durham Road and Headquarters Road on June 24th through July 3rd. Please see Township website for more information. Tree growth. First Energy and Met Ed will begin work sometime after July 8th to clear small sections of Headquarters Road and small sections of Quarry Road. The exact time frame will be to be determined. PennDOT announced Route 32 River Road closed for sinkhole repair between Route 611 Easton Road and Bridgeton Hill Road. Exact length of time to be determined.
I'll just interject on that. I think we got an email tonight that the road is reopened. Is that right?
But they're gonna pave it too.
Okay. Intermittent closings.
Intermittent closures, yes. As was said earlier, the First Responders Night will be September 21st, held from 1 to 4 at the Delaware Valley Volunteer Fire Company. We will also be attending a planning commission meeting on July 9th at 7 p.m. with the with the township supervisors. We will also be meeting with G2 Computers on Monday, July 8th, Melissa and myself, for some items that we are desperately needed to take place in the borough office. Thank you.
Thank you for that report.
You're welcome.
And Kurt, next on the agenda is an engineer's report, but you may have already given us that.
Yes, I have no formal report. Most of the items were covered earlier on. One thing I will mention is last month, there was a motion made for me to attend the WPAC meetings with the Bucks County Planning Commission for the Act 167. So I did attend that meeting. I'm working with Public Works Department to report any problem areas.
Oh, great.
I have a quick question, Kurt. Do you know, after the earthquake we had, since the dam came up tonight, did anybody inspect that dam after the earthquake? Or?
I'm not aware.
Just curious. It's one of the things mentioned in the report. I mean, I read a while back something, because it was when it first opened way back in the 70s, that earthquakes were a consideration, and that inspections should be done after any earthquake. Something like that was written in that final, some from the Army Corps of Engineers, some sort of final report.
I don't have any information on that. It was not passed down to me. I mean, typically, depending on the dam classification, there are inspection requirements.
Yeah.
And normally there's an entity that's responsible to do the inspections, and I'm not aware of the particulars on this one.
The DCNR, they do inspections of the Nockamixon Dam. Rich and I had been out there, I think in the summer of 22. We met with DCNR and had a tour of the dam and learned about their inspection process, which is pretty rudimentary.
Every 6 months.
Yeah.
Surveying to make sure that it hasn't moved or moved in any way or shape.
Okay,
Right.
so they probably have done, we'll do that soon anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering.
And anything else, Kurt?
That's it.
Okay. Scott, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't have anything really to add other than what's discussed. I just want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're up to our second and final public comment for the evening. Any public comment? All right, I will make a motion to adjourn, and we wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
A second. All right.
All of you. Aye.
That's correct.
Okay.
We had this chart from